NHL Finals Game 5, and it's also Taco Tuesday. Let's get into the picks for today. Sorry, this video is a bit late. I recorded a whole video and realized I was recording the wrong screen. But anyways, let's start with the recap of last night's picks. This one almost hit. I went for a stack in Austria with Limer on his underpasses as well as Baumgartner on his underpasses. This did hit if you guys watched it on time, but I do believe it did get bumped downwards. So Limer went to like 30.5 passes, I want to say, and Baumgartner got bumped down to like 23.5-ish. So obviously, if you got it at those rates, then you did not cash the unders. They both went over in that case. So when there is passes attempted props in my videos, really make sure you're getting them at what you see in the video, because a bump like that from 26.5 to 23.5 is massive, and you'd actually want to be on the over in that case. As you can see by where these landed, every pass is going to count, so you don't want to be taking bumps. Kyrie did cash this under 3.5 rebounds, but it was Sonny Gray who could not come in clutch for us to cash this 10x. But overall, the slip went 3-1, which isn't terrible, of course. Would have been nice to get that 11x. But my Euro plays have been absolutely crazy. We're 6-0 ever since the Euro started. In the original video I filmed, I did have some Euro picks, but at this point, it's 3 p.m., so every game has started, so I'm not going to go over anything like that. We're just going to go straight into the board and start with an NHL stack. And I'm also going to show you what to do with this taco or whatever taco you have when you're watching this video. So let's start with the first slip. I'm going over the goals allowed in the first 10 minutes. If you guys have been watching the channel, I take this every single Florida versus Edmonton game. You want to be on the over. It did cash last game, and I believe it also cashed in game 3. I'm pretty sure it's 2-2, but the real reason you want to take this prop is because it's more likely to go over than to go under. We have Bet365 first 10 minute, half a total goal prop right here. It's the exact same thing as goals allowed within the first 10 minutes. Minus 140 towards the over, plus 100 towards the under. If we go and devig that, so take out the juice of the sportsbook, you're going to see minus 140 at the top, plus 100 at the bottom. That's about a 53.85% chance that this prop goes over. That's what their sportsbook model has it projected at. If you're to take the under, you're only giving yourself a 46.15% chance to actually hit that prop. So on Prizepicks, since we're getting the same payout, no matter whether you're taking more or less, you might as well go with the outcome that is more likely to happen. And in that case, it's the more. Now, the reason I love this prop so much is you could correlate it very strongly with the points prop. So tonight, I want to go with Connor McDavid on the over 1.5 points. This is game 5 of the series, and it's funny because this series has basically been the same as the Dallas series. It was 3-0 for the opponent team to start. In the fourth game, it was a blowout for the Mavericks. Same thing here. The Panthers were up 3-0. Edmonton came back and won 8-1. That's when Connor McDavid got 4 points in that game. Hopefully, Edmonton does not go through the same path as the Dallas Mavericks, because we all know what happened last night. So we want Edmonton to win tonight and Connor McDavid to do well. So we're going to grab his over 1.5 points. I'm going to show you why I'm liking this play a little bit later on. But to pair up, I'm going to go with Evan Bouchard on his over half assist. And if you notice last game, these guys cashed together. And more often than not, they will cash together. Because 1, they're playing on the same main line. And 2, they're playing on the same power play unit. Again, I'm going to show you some more details in a little bit. So these two props stack perfectly with the goals allowed in the first 10 minutes. If there is a goal within that 10 minutes, then it's likely that Connor McDavid's on the other side of the goal, potentially giving him a point. And if he's not, maybe Evan Bouchard is on the other side of that goal, giving him an assist. So you can see how much this makes sense. And if you want to know, last game, all 3 of these props did cash. Unfortunately, it wasn't a Connor McDavid point within that first 10 minutes, but there was a goal within that first 10. And then Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard cashed within the second period. Edmonton did score 8 goals, so it was pretty likely that that was going to happen. Let's take a deeper look at both of these props. The first one you're going to see is Connor McDavid on the over at the 1.5 points mark. Minus 125 juice towards the over. Minus 117 on the under. If you notice, that's really not that good. And if you want to kind of quantify it with actual percentages, you see 50.75% chance that he goes over this prop, 49.25% that he goes under. So you can see not much of an edge on that over, but because we're stacking that up with the goals allowed in the first 10 minutes, and because we're stacking with Evan Bouchard on the assist, that sort of gets amplified. It's no longer 50.75%, because if Evan Bouchard's clearing his assist, then it's more likely that McDavid is getting that point, and it's more likely that that goal is within the first 10 minutes. So all these props kind of amplify these no vig odds on top of each other. So instead of 50.75%, it's probably closer to 55% once you stack everyone up together. Because I'm not looking at these guys on an individual prop basis. I'm looking at it as a triple stack instead. So I'm okay with sacrificing some juice. Now, Evan Bouchard actually does look pretty good here. Minus 127 juice towards the over. Minus 104 towards the under. So that is a better prop to go and devig this. For example, I'll show you minus 127 and minus 104 means about a 52.32% chance that he goes over a half an assist. Again, when you're stacking that up with McDavid and the goal allowed in the first 10 minutes, this gets amplified, probably close to that 56-57% because all these correlate so well together. Now, why am I going Evan Bouchard instead of Draisaitl, for example? Because if you go to the actual lineups, Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard are playing the most together compared to Draisaitl and McDavid. So McDavid's on that main line, the best player on the Oilers, and Bouchard's also on the main defensive line. So these guys are first lining together quite often, and on top of that, they're on that first power play unit together. They're playing in the back here. You can imagine a Connor McDavid pass to Evan Bouchard passing that to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or even Draisaitl or even Hyman, and those guys scoring. That would be an assist for both of these guys. And that point, which we have for McDavid, is either a goal or an assist. So these guys could both get an assist within the exact same play. You could also imagine Evan Bouchard passing to Connor McDavid scoring, which did happen last game. That's an assist for Evan Bouchard, and that's a point for Connor McDavid. So if Connor McDavid happens to get 2 points, since these guys play so often together, it's very likely that Evan Bouchard is going to be on the other side of one of those 2 points for Connor McDavid, whether that's a double assist or a goal. Now, if you notice, there's Leon Draisaitl on this power play unit. He's playing at that right wing position, right next to Evan Bouchard. That is great to see because in this last pick, we're going over the shots on goal combo, and we're taking his prop right here. Leon Draisaitl plus Sam Reinhart on their over 5.5 shots on goal combo. I like this better than the Zach Hyman plus Barkov because Sam Reinhart is more likely to score. And if Sam Reinhart's getting shots and is scoring, then we're getting some nice exposure to the goals allowed in the first 10 minutes, assuming that Stuart Skinner lets a goal in. So the Edmonton goalie, right? So this gives us some nice exposure to the Panthers instead of just going all in on Edmonton. On top of that, since Leon Draisaitl is on that power play unit, as I just showed you guys, again, it's very realistic to see Connor McDavid passing to Bouchard, passing to Draisaitl, getting a shot, which could potentially be a goal, which will clear this line and will also give a 1 shot out of the 6 here. Of course, that's nothing too crazy, but for Draisaitl to be scoring, for example, it's likely he's getting 3-4 shots, and same thing if Sam Reinhart is scoring, right? So you definitely want to be taking shots. If there's no shots, there's going to be no goals. So it does make sense to take the over rather than the under in this case. I'm going with these two guys instead of Zach Hyman and Barkov because the juice is better on these two players. And Reinhart is more of a scorer than Barkov is. He's more likely to score. Zach Hyman and Draisaitl are a bit closer in terms of goal scorers. I'd say Zach Hyman's a bit better of a goal scorer. He's more likely to score. But I still think this is the better prop because if we go over to props.cash, once again, we're going to check his shots on goal prop. The over 2.5 on Draisaitl does have very nice juice. You see on DraftKings, minus 135. Caesars, minus 152. BetMGM, minus 145. All on the over. He has been averaging about 3 to 4 shots per game this series. The only time he did not clear his line was in game 2. And this game is an elimination game that they're going to have to chuck as many shots as possible as this Edmonton team. They're not going to go out without a fight. They're going to be putting in a lot of minutes and they're going to have to be putting in a lot of shots. So it's very realistic that Draisaitl gets 3 shots. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 4. Now, if we go to second piece of the combo, which is Reinhart, you'll also see juice towards the over 2.5 shots on goal. So he's more likely to get at least 3 shots compared to getting 2 or 1. And you'll see minus 145 juice on DraftKings, minus 158 on Caesars, and minus 155 on BetMGM. So both Draisaitl and Reinhart are very likely to get 3 shots. Of course, Reinhardt's graph is looking way worse, at least versus this Edmonton series. He only cleared it in game 1. But as a whole, I feel confident that these guys could clear the combo together. So this is the first slip. You'll see no payout shift on this. This is going to be a perfect 10x 4-for-4 slip. So let's lock this in for the NHL playoffs. We're going to stick in the NHL just to grab this taco. We're grabbing Bob on his over 19.5 goalie saves. Whenever you're watching this video, there's probably going to be a new taco. So use that instead. Now we're going to go over to MLB and grab a triple stack. So what I'm going to do here is go to the pitcher strikeouts and grab Hogan Harris. This is Oakland's pitcher on his over 4 pitcher strikeouts. Now it seems like a random prop, but you'll see it makes sense if I go over to the hitter strikeouts and I grab players from the Royals on their over hitter strikeouts. So we got Vinny on his over hitter strikeouts. We also got Garcia on his over hitter strikeouts. Now I think it's obvious how this makes sense. If Hogan Harris is clearing his pitcher strikeouts prop, it's more likely that players on the other team are getting struck out. And this is an all or nothing slip type, right? We don't care about getting 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4. We want the 4 out of the 4 so we can get the perfect 9x payout. You can see it is nerfed a bit because it's heavily correlated. But imagine Vinny gets struck out and Garcia gets struck out. That's already 2 out of the 4 pitcher strikeouts for Hogan Harris. And yes, I know that he's not going to be pitching the whole game, but he's expected to pitch at least 5 innings, and that's a good majority of the game. So that's going to be 2 or 3 at-bats for both Vinny and Garcia. And you could imagine if both these guys get struck out within their first at-bat, that is going to look very good for Hogan Harris. Now let me break it down why I'm choosing these specific 3 guys rather than any other team or any other game tonight. Hogan Harris is set at 4.5 on basically every sportsbook except FanDuel. You can see there is heavy juice towards his under. But at that 4 prop, I feel comfortable with it because if those 2 guys are getting struck out, it's pretty likely that he's going to get that 5th strikeout. And since we're stacking it all together, I don't mind taking it at 4. I still think there's value there. Obviously at 4.5, the under would absolutely be the play. But at 4 looks decent enough, especially with the stack. Now if we go over to the 2 Royals players, if we go to batting strikeouts, you're going to see Garcia does have juice towards the over. Minus 135 on BetMGM. He did get 2 strikeouts in the past 2 games, and he's on a streak of 3 strikeouts straight versus the Dodgers. Very similar with Vinny. He did get struck out in the past 2 games. Minus 130 juice towards the over. So both of these guys are more likely to get their strikeout than not. And of course, it's going to be even more likely to get their strikeouts if Hogan Harris is striking people out. So that's why we're stacking all 3 guys together. That is going to be the 2 full slips for tonight, guys. Good luck, everyone.